Welcome to All Things Mental,
a podcast that honors the messy, beautiful, nonlinear journey of healing. Because healing isn't about fixing what's broken.
It's about discovering what you need in this moment and learning to trust yourself along the way.
Here, we share stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone on your path.
So take a breath, lean in, and remember,
you are not broken.
You're just becoming a more beautiful version of your higher self. We're your co-hosts, Michelle
and Leanna,
here to remind you that
you're never alone
on your healing journey.
Welcome back to All Things Mental. This is episode number 26, which is super exciting. And we have a very special guest, my friend Erin, for All Things Healing Journey. Me and Erin have met through the beautiful game of Mahjong, where I've been playing since 2022 when my mom taught me in August. And we met through some mutual friends, and we've just been friends for almost a year now. And it's really, really special to know such a wonderful soul in life. Erin, welcome.
If you could go back in time and change any moment in your past, what would it be and why?
Okay, so I've thought about this a lot before, and I'd imagine it will be very different from what other people have said to you. So what I would do is I would go back to me in early elementary school, and I wouldn't be saying anything. What I'd be doing is giving little me magnesium and certain probiotics. And the reason I say that is because I now understand that what happened with my gut health and lots of treatment with antibiotics very early in my life was the major contributor to my depression. And for me, that developed into wishing I was dead for about 2 weeks, a little more, depending, every month, from the onset of hormonal changes, maybe around 9 years old, and ending when I started taking magnesium at the age of 32, which is now about 13 years ago. So the reason I say that is because little me would have benefited so much, even though the depression hadn't obviously presented at that point. And what I came to realize, thanks to a wonderful therapist that I started seeing when I was 32 and in the family nurse practitioner program, was that she noticed my symptoms, my depression, and the cruelty I expressed towards myself was worse just before my menses began every month. And that was a pivotal observation for me, because she had been trying cognitive behavioral therapy with me, which was gratitude practice and gratitude journaling. And it's a wonderful thing to suggest and to do. And it did not have any impact until I got magnesium into my system.
First off, I want to say thank you so much for sharing, because that's a very beautiful answer. And like, I myself also take magnesium now in the evening. I just ordered something that has like magnesium and like 3 other supplements in it. It's supposed to help you like sleep better and all of this stuff. But like, I myself, like, it's a beautiful perspective to like go back in time and like give yourself something that would have helped you, not necessarily like change anything, just like add to it, which is very, very beautiful.
I totally agree. And thank you, Erin, for sharing your story. I resonate so deeply with just the suicidal ideation aspect. Like, that is a big part of my story as well. And you're not alone. So that's just what I wanted to say right off the jump. And yeah, I'm amazed that at your journey so far, and I look forward to hearing more about it.
Absolutely. Because like for me personally, like gratitude works for me, but like I know it doesn't work for everybody. And like we said this on the podcast before, like everybody's healing journey is different. And like there is no right way or wrong way, which is why we just share what has worked for us. And we always express and tell our listeners to just remember that like it may not work for you, or there might be something else that works for you. So that's absolutely true and beautiful. Like hypnosis works for me, and journaling works for me, and talking it out with friends works for me. Like before we even hopped on, I was dealing with something and I texted Leanna about it, and she said, well, why don't you find the root cause by doing the 5 whys? And at first I just went into my room and was like walking around and like doing it in my head. And I was like, no, write it down. So I wrote it down and I figured out the root cause of why I've been mindlessly scrolling. And not necessarily that I'm excited, but I'm glad that I now know the root cause and I can like work from there on what it is I actually want to do.
Mm. Yes. And for those of us who may not know the 5 whys, we've talked about it on a previous episode where it's an exercise from Mary's work, where in her retreats and things, and she just kind of has us go like asking the question, the initial question, like why, in Michelle's example, why am I mindlessly scrolling? Okay, you answer. And then it's whatever the answer, and then why? And then because I do this. Why? Because I want this. And you just keep going. And you do it 5 times at minimum. And then you get to this amazing root cause. And you kind of are like, wow, I didn't know that was present. Because in this example, like you want to be able to see in your healing journey how things make sense, I guess, just like, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but ultimately, like with going into the root cause, like it just gives you a different perspective, I guess. So that kind of makes sense. And yeah.
I appreciate that. So I think something that's very unique here is that these tools are fantastic. Like asking yourself why, to acknowledge the reality that there are always emotions built underneath behaviors. And even if those behaviors are emotional expressions, a lot of times there's some underlying emotion. That is very important. And from my perspective, a big aspect of all of this is, does your brain and body have the nourishment to be able to calmly confront what you're struggling with? And this is one of the reasons I offered to do this with you, because I thought it would be a little different. So I would like to point out some of the things I've learned. Obviously, I already mentioned the magnesium, and that was truly life-changing. And I could talk for an hour about magnesium. There are also a number of books that I would love to direct people towards, specifically a book that I only found 2 or 3 years ago, which is titled The Magnesium Miracle. And it is written by a woman who is both a medical doctorate and a naturopathic doctorate. And it's very tangible. She discusses research and she discusses the dozens of health issues that are affected by magnesium deficiency. So that obviously, and I apologize about my ums, but so that clearly is a poignant thing here. Something else that I've experienced and that I have done with the patients I work with, and I call them patients, which is complicated because most therapists refer to the people they work with as clients. I believe the differentiating thing for me is that I do order laboratory testing and I come from a medical background as well. And it is not meant to say that I'm above them in any way or disrespect them. It's truly because that's part of the relationship of the ordering testing. But I consider that I'm working with people all the time. When people come to me and they have anxiety and perseverating thoughts, as in they get stuck on something, they get stuck in a behavior, they get stuck in a thought or a fear, a worry, I automatically say, I wonder what your B12 level is. I wonder what your ability to metabolize B12 and folate is. And I have never been surprised. Maybe, I don't know if one patient ever has surprised me with a B12 level where I was like, oh, that's good. No, I don't think so. What generally comes back in the lab testing is that the B12 level is under 400. And this is testing from Quest or LabCorp. The ranges differ slightly depending on the testing company. With Quest, their test actually notifies the provider who ordered it, stating levels below 400 may cause neuropsychiatric issues.
Wow.
It just spells it out for the provider. I've spoken to people that I trained with way back in 2013 when I was doing my family nurse practitioner program, doctors, and said, are you testing people? Sure, yeah, I do sometimes, is the response I've gotten. Have you noticed that blurb that says that that can cause neuropsychiatric symptoms and issues? I have noticed it, but I never really paid any attention to it. Okay. The problem is,
That's
yeah,
so concerning and so frustrating all at the same time.
right.
Because like it's amazing. Look, as you were talking, I was thinking about it's amazing how connected your body is, like your mind, your muscles, like everything. Like it, like I have a bad back, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast, and I have pain a lot in my right shoulder blade, but I found out from my chiropractor that it's actually my left side that has the pain. It just manifests and shows in my right shoulder blade. And there'll be times where like he'll do one stretch and it fixes, not doesn't like fix, but like it helps like ease the pain. And it's like, wait, that's connected to that. So it's just so crazy to me how connected our body is.
Well, I did this because I can't remove it. I cannot take this off the rest of my body, no matter how hard I try. And it's all connected in magical ways. Even this is a whole other thing, and it's much more woo-woo, but I like acknowledging the woo-woo stuff because it is fascinating.
Absolutely.
Asking when you're doing the whys, and this is right side, left side, because this blows me away. And I always bring it up to people when I'm working with them and friends and family. Right side is connected to masculine energy and male lineage, as in your father, your brother, your male cousin, and left side, feminine energy, female lineage.
Wow.
So when things present in your body, it's always meaningful to say, it's the left side. Am I having any issues with my mother, my sister, a friend, a female friend who I'm so close with? They're like family. I just say, keep an eye out and explore that. It's really fascinating.
Wow. I'm amazed. Like I'm sitting, I forgot my pillow on my chair right now from where I'm sitting when I usually record. And I'm noticing like I have partial scoliosis in like my upper back. And it's weird because I didn't know, like all through the school years, when they did like the spine tests and like that kind of stuff, they never said I had any back issues until I was older, after the traumas of, parental things that have gone on in my life and with my side of the family, like, and I see the back, like I think it curves to the right. So that is very interesting because then that signals something, I guess in the male side of my family. I don't even know.
Aries.
I'd have to
Or
dig
maybe
into that.
do you feel safe leaning to the right? Do you feel safe leaning to the masculine? There's so many ways to reflect on this.
I was covering my mouth when you were talking about it because I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I've learned about masculine energy and feminine energy. We actually do have somebody that will be on the podcast eventually that will be discussing it. And so like a little teaser. But like I didn't realize that it had to do with the left and the right side. Like I believe in that sort of stuff. That to me is not woo or whatever word you used. Like I believe in that stuff. Like I was watching a video that explained like why cats do zoomies and then sleep. I think I sent it to Leanna
Yes.
because she would appreciate this. And it was basically just talking about how like cats were appreciated back in Egyptian times, and they were worshipped, and how when a cat is running around your house, they're clearing out the energy, and then when they take a nap, they're resetting their own energy. And I was like, oh my God, that is so crazy and so insane to me, because my cat runs around this house like all the time. Not that we have like bad energy here, but like it's just kind of like crazy to me. Like the last couple of days I've been kind of like in my head. So my cat is very attuned to me and also very attuned to my husband. But like I think she was running around a whole lot more the last couple of days. I'm like, oh my God, she was trying to clear the energy in the house.
So cool.
Yeah. Wesley likes to run around just before bedtime. It's like getting that last bit of energy out to clear, so that, because I knock out within 15 minutes. Like when I'm ready for bed, like I sleep, and it's a miracle that I can do that, because I'm a person that needs sleep. And yeah, he clears the energy, I guess, and then I'm ready for bed, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my husband will notice when I'm a little chaotic, or if we're cleaning the house, especially when things are shifting, he's very sensitive to energy like that, and he's always been that way. And we just admire that in him, and it's just yeah, it's really powerful and amazing.
Yeah. Like when I'm around my husband, I feel so calm. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. And like I remember mentioning it to him the first time, not like the first time we hung out, like probably like the second or third date. Like, you're just so calm. I'm so calm when I'm around you. And he's like, oh, thanks. I get that a lot. And I was like, in my head, I was like, that's not what I wanted you to say, but sure. Like, you can control what people say, but I was saying, oh, that's so sweet. But like he apparently gets it like a lot, and I think it has to do with his sign. He's a Taurus. Like he makes the joke all the time that if like people were to ever go to space, he would stay here on Earth because he likes his feet planted in the soil.
Very grounded.
Yes, he's very grounded.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, that makes so much sense. Erin, I would love to hear more about like the I guess the health and emotional connection that you know about, either in personal experience or with your patients, like, because I know for me, like in my healing journey, medication has been an incredible support system for me, only because I didn't know all of the natural ways that I could go. I did try to do like mind reset work and things like that, and like essential oils and like other, but I didn't really try the supplement route, and so for me, I was in like a life or death situation kind of thing, where I was just like, I can't keep living like this. I need something to change. And my husband encouraged me, why don't you go to the doctor or try Medicaid, like please, something. And so yeah, I would love to hear from you, Erin, about this.
Okay, so I of course want to elaborate. And what I want to do is I want to go back just a moment to what I was saying with the B12, because I would love, even though listening to me say this does not constitute a medical relationship, which I just put out there because I always need to be mindful of confusion for people. That stated, I want to explain what I was saying about providers reading this statement about B12 saying may cause neuropsychiatric symptoms. My perspective is the reason it says may cause is because much of the time the person ordering that lab test doesn't even know that the patient they're working with has anxiety, depression, panic, all these things. So the only way that data is collected is by the coding paired with the results. So if there's no coding that says anxiety, it may look like it's not consistently this way. From what I've seen, it's consistently that way, even though some of the people I've worked with have said, I don't have anxiety. In reality, it manifests for them in various ways. They're just not labeling it or perceiving it as anxiety. What happens, which is very confusing for the providers, I genuinely believe that people go into medicine with the desire to help. We're taught about labs, and what we are taught is reference ranges. Reference does not mean optimal health. And when the results come back, your provider may get a result and it's within the reference range, and they will say to you, everything looks good.
Mhm.
That's not sufficient. If you hear everything looks good, your response needs to be, I'd love a copy of my results. I need to see the numbers that came back with the tests. Then when that happens, you have the ability to recognize where you are falling in a range if it shows that on your version. For some reason, the providers get a version that shows the range and the number, and sometimes patients don't get to see the range. So for B12 levels, the reference range is 200 to 1200. And recall what I said, less than 400 neuropsychiatric symptoms. In this instance, you want to be in the upper third of the range.
Yeah.
You will not be notified about the number or that it's low if you are within that range. And at 201, what I've seen is that panic and anxiety vastly improve once you hit 700.
Yeah, no, that's the case, not even just for like, what is it, B what?
B12.
If not, that's not even the case just for B12. It's the case.
That's right.
It's the case for other things as well. Like, I
Yeah.
think I've talked about this not on the pod, but like when I was working with Vicky, who we had on the podcast a couple episodes ago, where she would say to me, like, just because they're saying it's normal doesn't mean, like, how close is it to abnormal? Or how close is it to being low? Those are questions you need to ask your doctor, because like what we put into our bodies and the nutrients that we need, if they're not the specific levels that your body needs, it can mess with your mental health.
Truly, truly. And I'm going to rattle off a couple of others. So one certainly is vitamin D. This one is very complicated. And I point this out because I do not start people on vitamin D if they are very depressed or very anxious. I learned, unfortunately, in practice, when I started treating the way that we were taught in school to treat vitamin D deficiency, that it can cause suicidality if you give it without first working on the magnesium deficiency.
Interesting. Because
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I have low vitamin D, and I'm at the moment not taking pills. I haven't been consistent with my supplements. So I think I'm going to hold off on putting them back into my, supplement.
Your regimen.
Yes, thank you. And I'm
Mhm.
going to wait until like I'm taking this magnesium product that I just ordered. Because like I remember forever ago, I ordered this one product that was like mostly magnesium, and I took it at night to like help me fall asleep. It was like a cocoa. It was so good. And I would like have like a little glass, and like I like bouged it up, like I would like froth it and stuff and then pour it into a cup. And like I miss doing that. And but like I got like one of the best sleeps of my night of my life, like when I was consistently taking magnesium. So the product that I just recently purchased, it's basically like it's meant to be like both for magnesium, but also for like I don't remember what the other three things that are in it, but basically they're good for helping lower your cortisol. And that's something that I want to try. And it also is for like the purposes of a oh my goodness, drip drop is the what I use for it now. Electrolytes, that's the word I was looking for.
Ah,
So it also helps with electrolytes. So I'm gonna look on when I get it, and in all likelihood I'll probably only take one in the evening because I don't want to like overdo it. But since I'm currently on my summer break, I am sweating more because I'm going to get my steps outside where it's hot, because I live in Florida where yesterday was 88 degrees, but it felt like it was 98 degrees. So I got my steps in yesterday by walking around my house because I was like, I am not going out in that. Even the cooling rack will not help me. So I've been like having like a electrolyte when I wake up in the morning with breakfast, and then either before or after, or sometimes during while I'm working out, because there's so many like cases that say, oh, it's better to have your electrolyte before, it's better to have your electrolyte during, it's better to have your electrolyte after. I don't know which one works for me, so like I kind of just like have it when like I feel like my body needs it, because as we've mentioned before on this podcast, listen to your body.
definitely.
Yes. Yes. I love that so much. We come back home to that phrase, listening to your body all the time, because that is what makes the most sense, like I'm just like, as you both were sharing, like I was thinking about how like I recently was diagnosed this year with ADHD, and like in the recent several years, like in my healing journey, right? Like we've talked about, like it's been like 10, almost 10 full years of me like really like changing and shifting and growing and all the things, and it'll keep going, but it's been at least 10 years now, and I I have gained weight in the recent few years, and I think that that's related to, because like I've never slept better.
Mm.
I've never felt better. I've never felt happier. I've never felt more alive, like wanting to live, like living a life worth living. Like the list goes on and on. Like, because I'm taking care of my body and my mental health. And like, if I'm a little bit heavier or if I'm a little bit of a bigger body, like who cares,
Amen.
So
Amen. Because I'm right there with you. Like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been, but I'm also the biggest I've ever been. But I care about the number on the scale, but not as much as I used to care about the number on the scale. Like, I kind of like been able to like separate, oh, it's just a number, which is really like huge for me. Because I remember a couple of years ago where I cared about like every number, and then it got to the point where the only number I cared about was number on the scale. And now it's just like, it's just a number. Sometimes I don't feel sexy in my body, but at the same time, like everybody has those days. Like I didn't have like the best body image day yesterday, but like, I mean, it's a process. Like you mentioned, like the whole healing journey, like I myself have been on it for 10 years, and it's just kind of crazy. And I think Mary posted something about how like you need to be okay with living with who you are now versus like always trying to improve on yourself, because like if you're going to do that, you're never going to get to know this new beautiful version of yourself.
That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. I think I briefly saw that post on Instagram, and I couldn't agree more. Like
It resonated with me so much. I was like, okay, Mary, I see you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Well timed.
Yeah. Anything to add, Erin?
Well, what I was thinking earlier was the physical aspects, from my experience, are often missed or misdirected. And that is very important. And it is debatably equally important to your inner dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I mentioned that turning point of the therapist, the wonderful therapist, pointing out that things would shift every month prior to menses, was that the gratitude journaling she was guiding me through was meant to help me shift my inner dialogue away from one that was verbally abusive towards myself, very hateful. And I was doing it and felt like a fraud. And then once magnesium was in, it didn't feel fake at all. And it miraculously didn't feel fake in a short amount of time. Now, that said, it related to what my body was coping with at the time, which was not as many things. Whereas if I'm taking magnesium, but I have some sort of microbial change in my intestines, or I took antibiotics, and this is an interesting one, and I've discussed it with other providers. If I take pharmaceutical antibiotics, my mood tanks. As soon as the flora shifts from those, now I could take herbal antibiotics, which aren't as bazooka gun to everything living in the gut, and that doesn't happen to my mood.
Mm.
If I consume oral antibiotics, I would imagine IV would be the same, my mood tanks, and it is not so easy to feel the impact of asking myself questions why, meditating, doing gratitude journaling. So that stuff blows my mind. All that said, the fact that I don't feel uncomfortable looking at myself in a mirror and saying, I love you anymore is a major, major life success.
That's so beautiful. Like really, really beautiful. And it reminds me, and I feel like it probably also reminds Leanna, that there are layers to a healing journey. And like there was a time where meditation worked for me. There was a time when gratitude works for me. Not that gratitude doesn't work for me now. I just haven't been like as consistent with it. But I know for me personally that it's a lack of some stuff that's in my system, which is why I purchased the product that I mentioned.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like the reason what prompted me to get diagnosed with ADHD this year was because I was working and I was having a tough time initiating tasks and focusing and like feeling like motivated to do it. And like I went to the doctor with I was like, I'm in a brain fog. Like I feel like I'm witnessing myself in third person. Like I'm just like something's wrong in my head. And yeah, we did the tests and they came back normal, but I could probably have them looked at a little bit better,
You might be able
because I
to.
do. Yeah, I would love that because seriously, like I just don't know. Like they tested things like I think thyroid and like various vitamin levels. I don't even know what it was because the doctor just said I was normal and fine. And I was like, okay. And then I proceeded to start therapy and like, again, cause I've been in and out of therapy in these past like 8 years or so. And I have to I canceled my last appointment. I have to make a new appointment because I want to get back on the train and just having a space to talk to somebody in that supportive environment who, yes, she also was able to do the formal testing for ADHD and like get me diagnosed and everything. And now I'm taking my 30 milligrams of Vyvanse and it's working for me, like to feel energized and alive for the day and like have the sustained energy throughout. And then it's not like keeping me up at night. Like I'm just so grateful. So it's really working for me. And like, I know my nutrition could be better, but like at the same time, like I was saying before, I have this life worth living and I don't feel like I need to do anything drastic anymore now because everything's working. And then in a few months, and if it needs to shift or change, like I do that. Like you said, Michelle, before, the healing journey has layers and like we get to that next layer and it's like, okay, something needs to change and then we can shift and it's okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Like for me right now, like I just like I'm doing everything right. Like I'm making sure I have enough protein in each meal. I'm making sure that I'm eating like a variety of different plants and all of that. And I'm doing strength training. Like my goal last week was to work out 6 days, but like I went from not doing any workouts to wanting to do 6 days. I was like, okay, that was like too high of an expectation. So let's like lower it. So like this week, my goal is to work out 5 days because that's one more than I did last week. And If I wind up only doing 4, so be it. But I really feel really good about getting to the 5. I think the only day I won't be able to is this Friday, because I don't like working out on a day where I also do my chiropractor and my massage, because I feel like I then wasted the massage appointment. So if I can't do it before this appointment, I'm not working out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, I like the idea of allowing those to be your restorative days. And I think that it's really important for us when we are doing things to increase our health and strength to confront what our motivation is and allow ourselves to do that work with the intention of love for your body and improved strength and wellness, as opposed to desperation to look different or a certain way.
Absolutely.
I have a friend, a close friend, who does bodybuilding. And at the very end, which I don't think is healthy, and we discuss it, and we discuss the nourishment and the restriction that comes with it. However, what I want to point out is the only time she's doing 6 days a week of training is shortly before the competition,
Yeah, so she looks more fit, which
because
makes
you
total
have to have rest days. You
Absolutely.
deserve rest days.
Exactly. And I think that's something that our audience needs to hear, and something that I definitely needed to hear, because like the way I used to do, like, okay, this day, that day, that day, and then a full body day. And then my husband made the point, okay, but if you just do isolation where you only work out on your legs, then the rest of your body gets a rest that day, but still take at least one rest day a week. Now, I personally used to do where, like, I used to, like, during, like, when I'm at work, I will not work out on Wednesdays, because it's like an early release day and it's just easier to be able to relax that day. And I call those my midweek potato days, where the only thing I do is I get my steps in. And then Sundays are my potato days, where I literally do not care about getting my steps in. I don't care about anything. Leave me alone. I'm going to sit on that couch. And if I feel like, okay, I need some fresh air, I'll go for a walk. But I'm not like, okay, I got to get at least 5,000 steps in. Because, like, something that my husband mentioned to me earlier, he was like, babe, you do know that 10,000 was just a number that they came up with that people could remember. It's not like if you don't do it, oh, you suck. And I was like, yeah, I know. I think I'm just so fixated on that number, because, like, now I'm not working. So I do need to go for a walk to get my steps in. Whereas when I'm at work, I get my steps in, no problem.
10,000 is a hefty goal to have for most days of your week. And it's a wonderful thing. I'd love to also say that light gets on your priority list. Light exposure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because, like, one of the first things that you should do in the morning when you are up is to go outside and just, like, allow the sun to touch your face, allow the sun to touch your eyes, because it wakes up your system and tells you, I'm awake, I'm alive.
And it regulates your hormone production cycle for that next 24. And even on a day that you need more recharge and rest, you could still get light in a more relaxed way.
Exactly.
Without the stuff.
Through, like, sitting in a hammock, or, just going outside and grounding yourself and looking up at the sun.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because I wake up in the morning and I'm so, like, disoriented a lot of the time, because, like, I dream, like, in my Aura Ring, like, I track, like, how my sleep cycles go in and out and everything, and I get more of my deep sleep in the first half of the night, which is good, and then, like, lighter sleep towards the middle, and then REM towards the morning. So it's like I'm usually dreaming, like, right before my alarm goes off, or, like, before I wake up, and then I wake up and I'm like, what? So I'm like, I need to, like, I'm still, that's still something that I'm working on, in terms of, like, waking up and actually like feeling ready for the day versus like waking up and being like, oh, I have to get up. And then realizing that, as the minutes go by, if I'm still on my phone or like checking email or whatever I'm doing, like I'm just like, okay, I need to actually like start to kick it into gear so I can get to work, because I have to drive for 20 minutes and like get there, So it's like I have to get myself out of bed and like get dressed and put on my jewelry, my makeup. Like I try to have everything ready like the night before, of like my outfit of what I'm going to wear. And that like makes it easier for the morning. And this goes against what Vicky has shared with us. Like I don't eat until I get to work, and then I have my yogurt and my granola, and I'm just like, okay, I'm having this for my day. Like, this is how I'm starting it, because I don't feel hungry right away. And especially like even with my new medicine, like by the time it kicks in, like it suppresses appetite in the beginning of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I still eat my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack and whenever. But I just like, that's like my new routine, and it seems to be working. So like, but I want to be able to like wake up and not just be like, ugh, I need more sleep.
Yeah, no, I feel that. That's how I've been feeling lately too, which is why I want to try that product that I mentioned. But
Yeah.
like for me personally, like what I've been doing a lot now is like I've been like relaxing in bed for like 15 or 20 minutes. And I really like it. Like when I go back to work, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, because I am just going to be like, really like wanting to just get back to work and get going.
Yeah, I agree. I like that idea that I'm luxuriating in bed, and I'm like, God, I'm so lucky whenever that's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. To like, right now I can do it. It's not that big of a deal if when I go back to work, I'm unable to do it. It's not the end of the world.
You might be able to. So there are practices to help your body wake up before your alarm. I love to wake up before my alarm, although sometimes I'm like, I really could have used the extra sleep. Like today, I woke up 20 minutes before. There's exercises where you can get into bed, imagine a clock face, set it to the time. It could even be 5 minutes before your alarm, a few minutes. People do it differently, whether it's the clock dial with the hands or a digital with the numbers. And I did that for a while, and I always wake up before my alarm now, which I enjoy because you don't end up starting the day with a noise, which is stress inducing.
Which is fair. Yeah, no. I at the moment don't have my alarm on. Which is like really, really nice. Because I've been like naturally just waking up around like 9:15, 9:30, which is around the time I want to wake up. But like I have a sunrise alarm, so like I can like say I want it to start the sun rising. So basically it's just like the light gets a little bit brighter and brighter and brighter. And I sometimes wake up to that when that alarm is on. And like my alarm sound isn't like an ant. It's like peaceful music that actually will wake me up and not be like, oh, this is nice, let's go deeper.
Yeah, that's a wonderful alarm to have. I had one briefly. For some reason it stopped working, and I loved that. I do want to go back to some things because I really want you and your listeners to have some points of awareness. B vitamins are energizing. Please, everyone, find out what number your B12 lands at. Finding the number isn't the only thing you need to know. There are different formulations of B12. Different formulations have different impacts. For people with mental health issues of any kind, it is much less stressful on the system if you can get a B12 that is adenocobalamin, that's ADENO. Cobalamin is the suffix in every type of B12. So that part will be on any. There is this variety that's either adeno and or hydroxycobalamin. And those varieties do not cause any sense of agitation. Sometimes people will take methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin, and they will feel jittery or say, I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin. And it may be helping their B12 level and it may increase energy. Unfortunately, it has this uncomfortable aspect to it. The adenohydroxy does not offer that. So that's something very meaningful to know. And it's energizing. So you take it morning or afternoon, and that will also help with your get up and go sense. Additionally, I don't know if you remember this, Leanna, but you did mention to me something about being diagnosed with ADHD, and I mentioned one specific nutrient. Do you remember what it was? It's okay. No,
I do not, unfortunately.
it was and is vitamin D. Which is interesting because before I mentioned to you both that that is complicated when it comes to mental health. Although it's complicated, it is, in my opinion, vital to have on board. Everyone. What I do is I start people on magnesium first, and then let's flesh that out a little bit more. If you hear different influencers talking about magnesium, they will say this kind's good for this kind's good for that, and so on and so forth. And what I tell people is if you poop your pants from the type of magnesium you take while you're in public, that probably outweighs what it's good for. So, first, I want to know how often you poop and what your poop is like. Because if you poop every day easily, I absolutely don't want you to try magnesium citrate or magnesium oxide and then never want to speak to me again because you sharded, excuse my language, in public
You're fine.
and felt and feel humiliated.
Okay, so I'm kind of excited to start taking my this thing because I'm chronically constipated and I didn't realize that magnesium helps with that. Like I don't like
Life changing.
not have a bowel movement every day, but like sometimes like it just comes out. I haven't had a solid one in a while.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the providers I've learned from says that we should all be having 3 to 4 a day. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. What? 3 to 4 a day?
I think my
used to.
husband probably has 3 to 4 a day, like because like he's always on the toilet and he's sending me memes and I'll text him like you're on the toilet right now. You're sending me poop memes and he's like, oh, you're so funny. I'm like, you are. Like, there was one time in the group chat where his friend was like, are you poop memeing right now? And I'm like, God, I hope not. He's sitting next to me on the couch.
Oh, goodness. Well, yeah, certainly hope not at this point in life. Yeah, this is really poignant. And it's something I want to point out as well. Because of what I've been learning, I have helped some adolescents, teenagers who are on the spectrum and severely autistic. And I believe that if I were born decades later, I would have been that way. And what I mean is nonverbal or barely verbal, because I grew up having bowel movements for 1 week a month. And I didn't want to talk about it with anyone because that would have been strange to me as a child. And I did not know that that should have and could have been different, which is another reason why I said I would have given little me magnesium, because everything gets better when you have enough magnesium. And that includes headaches, constipation, body aches, muscle aches, anxiety,
Sleep.
urinary function, sleep, of course. There's just a whole list of them. And that book, Magnesium Miracle.
That's really, really interesting because like one of the main reasons why I'm on a healing journey is I want to like obviously like improve for myself, but at the end of the day too, like I do plan on having kids someday and I do not want to pass on to them my traumas and my issues. Like they're going to get enough stuff from me because of genetics. I don't want to pass on, like my fear of saying I love you, which I don't fear that anymore, but like there was a time where like I didn't, because I grew up in a household where it wasn't said a whole lot.
Mm. Well, I want to reframe something you said. First of all, I would love to share book suggestions with you because children are wonderful and it is complicated preparing for that journey. You mentioned they will get all sorts of genes from you as though they're getting the short end of the stick here. And I want to reframe genes and genetics because illness, symptoms, those are all communication from your body because you didn't understand what was going on. And it's your body's alarm signal and warning. It is not you having lesser genes or more problematic genes than anyone else. It's that every single body is coded with thousands of different warning signals to help communication when you would not otherwise know that your body needs more support and your brain and your inner dialogue need different types of nurturing.
Wow, that literally like brings tears to my eyes because I think about my husband who has been through like so much with his health, like having Lyme and having it multiple times like over, and like the IV antibiotics like even before, way before I knew him, and then like having various flares in like kind of the middle of our, at this point in our like 11 years together, like the middle part, like he had like another flare of like a different type of Lyme flare up and things, and he's just been, and I always say like he's just been dealt a shitty deck of cards, and like he's doing his best, and like he's so loving and kind and is the least deserving of these health issues, but like some people just like see the shortcomings and they just don't, they're like, oh, like why isn't he doing more of this, blah blah blah, and I'm like, because there's so much like underneath the surface. And I know in working with doctors and other things, like we'll be able to get like he's already shipped from just seeing the chiropractor like in the past 6 years since we've lived here, like that's changed his body in amazing ways. And like I just hope that, you know, the next part is also like he's worked on his mental health, and then now it's the physical health, like it's just been layer by layer, and that's his own healing journey. And like he's so much better now than he was like years ago, and I always saw that version of him like through time. And like I always loved like the highest version of him that I didn't even see in the moment, but like just to have some people just see not that is just yeah, it would be always heartbreaking to me. But yeah, I know it's there, and like he'll get there in the future, which is amazing.
That is absolutely beautiful, Leanna. Like absolutely beautiful. But like what I meant earlier was like mental health. Like I know that they're going to, but like I now have the tools I need to support them through that. And my amazing husband will also be like helping them as well.
Of course.
And if you do things in certain ways before, during, and after they enter the world, they will be more comfortable with the emotional learning that's
Oh,
important.
absolutely. Like I have emotional intelligence, and that is something that like I can say proudly. I did not have it 10 years ago. I have it now, and I had to teach it to myself. And it's something that my children will know from the get-go.
And then they're going to have the physical piece. So I'm going to now once again harp on magnesium here. There are many occasions where women develop high blood pressure during pregnancy, and it is referred to as preeclampsia, and it is not well treated. And I have treated it easily. And when I say easily, I mean resolution within 1 to 2 weeks,
Oh, wow.
if not less. And what I do is I start them on oral magnesium. And the fascinating thing is that in hospitals, when they're concerned about mom and or baby having a stroke right before delivery, they give IV magnesium. And prior, there is no discussion from the OB staff, the obstetric gynecology staff, with moms about magnesium support and supplementation. So when I know people are pregnant, we discuss this in advance. If they're working with me, they're already on it. If they're one of my friends, I mention it gently. I mention it again. If they then tell me
Nudge,
my
nudge,
blood
Leanna.
pressure, if they tell me my blood pressure was high, I will pour it into their drinks when they turn around, and not, they're okay with it. I'm not giving them anything else, but I'm sure other people that have witnessed it are like, what is that woman putting in her drink? I know things get better in terms of their joint comfort as well as the blood pressure normalizing ASAP.
Mm.
And that is pivotal for mom.
This is so fascinating to me.
Mm.
Like I really feel like we should call this episode All Things Magnesium, not all things like mental, all things healing journey, because like that's essentially what the focus of this episode was, magnesium.
Yeah.
And I would love to go into all of the B12 info and all of the vitamin D info. I always start with magnesium with people, always. So, I mean, we can always talk at other times in the future. Know that the magnesium is complicated. Remember what I said about the pooping your pants? Citrate helps, oxide helps. Some people, depending on what's going on with the microbial balance in your large intestine, they might be reactive to magnesium glycinate, which usually is better tolerated without causing loose stool. So that is really important for people to know. And that book, Magnesium Miracle, it doesn't really encourage many forms other than magnesium chloride because of the author's experience and journey. Regardless, it's still mind-blowing because she talks about how certain foods and certain beverages can increase your magnesium depletion, which tripped me out when I read it because I was already a solid decade into my happiness driven by magnesium support.
That's
Wow.
amazing. That's absolutely beautiful. I think that's a good place to end the episode.
Yeah. I feel that 100% because like it's just so powerful to know that there are tools out there in so many different ways. And I definitely encourage us to, all our listeners and us here, like to do research on this, talk to our doctors, professionals and everything, because it may be the life-changing solution that we've been waiting for. So
Oh yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
definitely be talking to my husband about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, where can people find you?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I have an Instagram that is a sometimes confusing name. It is MAG Life. And the MAG stands for magnesium because my life and my access to happiness changed when I started incorporating magnesium into my days. So it's Mag Life on Instagram. And if you message me, if you message the account, it's going to be me that you're speaking with.
Amazing. Thank you, Erin, so much for sharing your story and for talking about all these amazing tools, like I said, that we have in our disposal that we can talk to more about with our professionals and things like that. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of All Things Mental.
Please follow us on social media at All Things Mental Podcast to let us know how this episode helped you on your healing journey.
Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so that you don't miss an episode.
And remember,
You are not broken
you're just becoming a more beautiful version
of your higher self.